First up, we've got Livestar. And the presenters are Fritz Lahnman and Chris Walters and Matt Joffe.
Greetings, TechCrunch Disrupt. I'm Fritz Lahnman, and I'm the founder of Livestar. Today, I'm going to tell you how Livestar is revolutionizing recommendations. So there's a lot of contenders who've been working on this problem, but no one solved it. Why? We think there's three key problems. First, all of these systems are dependent on giving you reviews and recommendations from strangers. That's like going up to somebody at the bus stop and asking them for a restaurant or movie recommendation. It's not natural. Do I want this Michael A. guy, whose favorite movie is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, influencing my movie recommendations? No, I don't. The second problem is that all of these systems simply give you the average rating for all reviews, despite your unique personal taste. They're not personalized at all. And the third problem, of course, is fake reviews. Well, how prevalent are these, do you ask? The New York Times recently had an article saying that one-third of reviews online are fake. So clearly, the existing solutions are broken. We think we've got the answer. Our solution is to give you access to high-quality reviews from trusted sources. The first group are professional critics, people with genuine expertise, whose livelihoods depend on giving high-quality recommendations. The second group are your friends. Not all of them have great taste, but some do, and importantly, you know who to trust and who not to trust. And then the third group are people with the same taste as you. Livestar algorithmically measures your taste and then compares it to other people and lets you discover things that people who like what you like recommend. Now let me show you how we do this. Okay, so let's suspend disbelief for a second and pretend that I have a date with a really beautiful woman this Friday night in San Francisco. So I need to find a restaurant, not one that I'm gonna like, but something objectively great that she's likely to like. So I simply tap on critics as the source, and within seconds, I get to see the recommended restaurant according to the top 12 critics in San Francisco. I can then browse these individual sources by tapping on them one at a time to see their individual recommendations. I can further refine the list of results by adding a keyword. In this case, the word romantic, since I'm looking for a date place after all. Now, I just want to call out how much work Livestar is saving you here. Imagine how much time it would take to go online, read all of these critic reviews, aggregate these opinions by hand, and compare them. It would literally be hours of work, and in Livestar, you get that answer in seconds. But what if you also want to get the opinion of some friends? And maybe they've never heard of Livestar because it's a new app. Well, Livestar has a Q&A feature that lets me send a request for some recommendations to friends who have never heard of Livestar via email, SMS, and Facebook. And critically, because my friends are really lazy and unlikely to respond if I send them an email, Livestar pre-populates a survey based on the text that I put in the question that lets my friends simply answer in a few taps. So we make it incredibly easy, so easy that it's actually a pleasure rather than a chore for my friends to give me recommendations. So let's say that I decide to go to foreign cinema and on this date. And it's Friday, and I'm getting ready, and I want to impress this girl by being able to make some good menu suggestions, like I know what I'm talking about. So I go back into Livestar, which not only has the entire menu of the restaurant already in the system, but it also has the best items recommended at the top. So we go on the date. She loves the restaurant that I've chosen. She likes my recommendations and thinks I'm pretty cool. We end up going back to my place, and now I'm in desperate need for a music recommendation. So I go back to Livestar, and this time, instead of wanting something objectively good, I go to my friends who are hip and cool, and one guy in particular who's a hipster, and I get some album recommendations. So I find some music that looks good, I put it on Spotify. Unfortunately, Livestar doesn't do conversation recommendations, so the girl gets bored and leaves. So now I'm at home, it's Friday night, I'm alone, I'm broke because I spent all my money at this fancy restaurant, and I'm depressed. I decide to watch a movie. Now this time, I don't care about what critics think, I don't care what's cool with my friends. I just want a recommendation that I am personally going to really, really like. So I click on my similar list. And this shows me recommendations and lets me discover a movie from people who like what I like. So I find a movie, I watch it, and my night is salvaged, at least partially. So as you've seen here, Livestar provides fast access to high-quality sources across a range of common real-world scenarios. So let's quickly recap why Livestar is disruptive. First, we provide faster access to friend and critic recommendations than anywhere else on the internet. Secondly, we provide access to people who have the same taste with you. Nobody else algorithmically finds who has the most identical taste to you and lets you discover their recommendations. Thirdly, you can go to Livestar for restaurants, what to eat, when you're at the restaurant, what music to listen to, and what movie to watch. We're a one-stop destination, and we're constantly adding new categories. And lastly, fourth, we provide faster, easier access to friend recommendations through our Q&A feature than you can get even via text or email. But above all, you've seen it. It's fast, it's simple, and it's easy to use. Thank you.
You know what would be interesting is if, instead of using Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, why would you guys use Livestar? Just put a show of hands. Would you use Livestar? That would be helpful. Yeah, so about a third of them. That's pretty good.
Got a lot of shy
I'm
people
wondering
here.
why you're doing it.
Sorry?
Why do you care?
Well, I care because I'm personally extremely passionate about great tastes and great recommendations. And if you think about how much time and money we spend on discretionary things, non-utilities, not rent, right? It's literally trillions and trillions of dollars and hours of our lives that we spend doing these things. And yet the percentage of those activities that's informed by any quality research is extremely low. And so we think it's a combination of giving you access to high quality and also making it incredibly easy to get those recommendations. And if you can start influencing even a small percentage of that trillions and trillions of dollars of consumer discretionary spend, then it's an enormous opportunity. It's hard to imagine a bigger opportunity, frankly.
What's the big plan? How are you going to make money, and then what's your big plan once everybody is using this?
So I think the analogy, we like to think of the analogy as Google. You go to Google for a recommendation about what link to click on, right? And some small percentage of the time that you go there, they divert you into an ad. We want you to come to us when you're trying to figure out how to spend your time and money, and some small percentage of the time, we'll send you into some sort of sponsored coupon or link. So the long-term goal is the direct advertising market, which, right now you have things like Groupon and so on and so forth. You have some serious enterprise value already locked into these models, and Yelp and TripAdvisor. And I think that the percentage of spend being influenced is still extremely low. So if we can grow the pie and then take a share of that, it's a pretty big opportunity.
I'm
How
more
are you
curious
thinking through?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm more curious how you're going to get lots of users, right? Like you go to the App Store, you go to the Android App Store, and there's just millions of rating, reviews.
Yeah.
There was even a joke app called Jolly that they were using to make fun of review apps. So
Yeah.
sort of curious as how you're going to get all these users to sort of do it, because it is a very, very crowded market space, and it's very expensive because people are buying users right now in this area.
Yeah, good question. I think it's the hardest problem that any startup in the consumer internet space today has, actually. And in addition to things like expressing your tastes and wanting to be a tastemaker and stuff like that others have done, we just do some things that no one else has done yet. For example, having this structured Q&A system that lets me socially poll my friends for an opinion. Nobody has done that. Aggregating these critic opinions and letting you browse them individually and as a group. Again, nobody's done that. And then the third thing is the fact that we promote these sources. A lot of people that we're working with to be a tastemaker or one of these critics or whatnot, maybe bloggers, they get free advertising through Livestar for being featured on our slider as a source. In exchange, they promote Livestar to their audiences as well. So we have this nice mutually beneficial symbiotic relationship with the sources that we're featuring.
So have you gotten any bloggers to sort of sign up and say we're going to promote Livestar?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got hundreds of partners already in the system. We have full coverage in the United States for restaurants, not international yet. And for music and movies, we've got wide coverage as well. Those are obviously global categories. And we're adding apps soon, which is, we'll have some good coverage in there too.
So, sorry.
Go ahead. I was just following up on his question. So you said one of the ways that you would grow is having friends answer these structured questions. But if you look at the scenarios that you have, which is restaurants, movies, music, you want instantaneous recommendations. And it's really hard to get those instantaneous recommendations from your friends, which then leaves you in a dead loop. Like, do you really think that's going to drive viral and user growth?
Well, we like to think that by lowering the barrier and being very mobile-centric, so this company couldn't have existed before touch as an input modality was prevalent and widespread. So the fact that we give you a list of things, so we parse the question text and say, if you're asking for sushi in Palo Alto, when you click on the link to answer your friend's question, we show you Palo Alto sushi restaurants, and it's literally like 4 or 5 taps. So we think that every second of effort that we can take out of the equation to answer, we're going to increase the adoption. And we don't need it to be 100% of people participating. If we can make it 10% or 30% like Facebook of people writing into the system, it's a game changer. It's completely different than a system like Yelp or something where under 1% of people actually write reviews.
So since we already talked a little bit about distribution, kind of switching gears, you picked particular domains around recommendations. Why not commerce, and why did you choose events like movies or restaurants?
Great question. So transparently, it's just our go-to-market prioritization. So we tried to choose categories that perhaps aren't the most commercially oriented, like hotels, for example, and went for things where there's really subjective opinions and high frequency scenarios, and that you like to banter about with your friends. So we started with those categories, and the long-term vision is to just keep adding additional categories, and as soon as we get you into the system because of, say, movies or music, to then convert you into a hotels user or a wine user when we add wine. So.
That was
Thanks, guys.
That was Livestar.